if you don't have a community for your profession, and obviously I'm biased, but you're shortchanging yourself. It's like doing your work without AI right now. Like you can't, if you can go ask somebody that's been there before and get an answer in a couple of days to help you improve your strategy, that's going to save you months of time.
Welcome to the Peer Bound Podcast. I'm your host, Sunny Manivanan. Joining me today is a very special guest, Mary Green, who is the founder of CMAWeekly, the largest community for customer marketers out there, and certainly the one with the most engagement. She's also the director of community platforms at Infor. Mary, I know you got a very busy life, so I want to double thank you for joining us. And for those of you who are not members yet of CMAWeekly, this is by far the most active and most supportive group out there for customer marketers and people who build communities. I will certainly include links to join in our show notes. And beyond CMAWeekly, Mary, you have had an incredible career in customer marketing and advocacy, having built programs at leading B2B companies like now Infor, Demandbase, Outreach, Forbes, and HubSpot. Mary, it's such an honor to have you on the Peerbound podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so exciting to be here. I love talking to you. It just puts a smile on my face because you have such a big smile. But thank you. Yeah, it's great to be in the customer marketing and advocacy world and have the community. So this will be fun.
Wonderful. I want to ask you, what got you into customer advocacy and marketing in the first place? How did you enter the space?
Yeah, I'm not sure. So I was building communities for a long time, HubSpot, Outreach, and part of building those communities is getting some evangelism going, getting people that want to talk about the community or what's happening in the community and what's happening in the industry and things like that. And another part of it is like marketing to your customers. It's marketing to the ecosystem and your customers as well to get them involved in the community. And as I was moving on from not CMAWeekly, sorry, Outbound and Sales Hacker, I was looking at positions and I kept seeing customer marketing. And I'm like, that doesn't sound that exciting, but I'll look at it because one of them said advocacy too. So I looked at it and I was like, wait a minute, I've been doing this already for years and I didn't know. So I found a position with Demandbase where it was community and advocacy. So that was the first official title for customer marketing, even though I'd been doing it. And so I went from there, got in there, was playing with Influitive, doing tons of, getting people to get into the community and share content and keeping track of all of these advocacy activities and hand raisers. And it was so much like what I had done before, but never called it that. And I found a previous customer marketing and advocacy Slack that I joined, I think through Leslie at Tipalti, Leslie Barrett, and just went in there, started talking to people. I finally moved on to another company and it didn't fit well. But during that time, I did a lot of work in the community to get people talking more and have a lot of engagement. And when I left there, I started CMAWeekly as a weekly call continuance of what I had been doing and opened a new Slack where I could keep track of things more because I hadn't owned it before. I didn't have the access to help people and things like that. So that's how CMAWeekly started. And it's been almost 3 years next month, which is just insane.
It is incredible. And you now have, I believe, more than 1,200 customer marketers in CMAWeekly?
Yeah, there's over 1,500 now.
1,500.
Yeah. And it's, the engagement's pretty high, I would say. Most people who join say, oh, I didn't even know that there was a Slack that had so much activity. And as much as I engage, especially with new people, it's really a lot of the other people that are in there. Sienna Abdalian, Kevin Lau, Shannon Howard, Christine Kukic, Amanda Peacock today was just She has the longest running replies thread in CMA Weekly history. So I put that in the newsletter to call her out. Just all of these people that keep coming back or come back in between positions and want to share. Like Megan Donaldson just left a company and now she's at another one. And she's like, I just want to share what I've done so that others can learn. And I always thought community managers were very like loving as a group. But once you get to community advocacy, these people are just, they're there to support you. And it's beautiful. And it makes my job, I wouldn't say easy, but it makes it, I don't have all the pressure on myself. So they're
Totally.
great people. I should have named a lot more.
No, it's incredible. One of the things that I observe is people are not afraid to share the real deal. Whether it's, hey, something, somebody will ask a question and say, is this a good idea? And people are not shy and they will tell you if it's not a good idea. And I find that so valuable.
It is because they don't want others to fail unless they have to. Like we want to save each other because this is still a position where we have to prove ROI. We have to show all of our value, and choosing the wrong tool, for example, can lead to not being able to show that value. So we all know what's at stake when we're making mistakes, which we all do, but we also know like how important it is to share your wins and help others. And they're so good at it. They're just awesome people.
It is an incredible group. I want to ask you, I have so much to ask you about the CMA Weekly community because I think you've done such a masterful job of really fostering the community spirit within this group.
Thank
When
you.
you started this, when you started this community, what was going through your mind at the time? Did you know that this is what it would become? What were you thinking when it was, I don't know, 20 people?
So it was never really 20 people because I started in a community that was just kind of, some people are in here. It was really just responding to everyone as much as I could and helping where I could. And the company I was at the time, I was like, yeah, you should come, like, try out our product and things like that as well. So it was really helping me with that position. Unfortunately, I got to a point where I realized it might not be the best solution for what people were looking for. And I felt a little bit like I had misled people. And that just grew
Hmm.
a passion in me to make up for it when I left. So I was just like, I need to make sure I'm helping as many people as much as I can because I've probably sent people the wrong way in different moments. And I need to make up for that. And so I just tried to do that. And here we are.
I love that. I love that. What's surprised you over these last 3 years? You can even take just the last year. What's been most surprising to you about CMA Weekly?
The surprise. Just the dedication, I think, that people have towards helping each other. That's one of them. Like just seeing the people that just keep coming back. Sienna, Megan. I'm leaving out so many names. My brain is just, whatever. So many people that just keep coming back, people that come during their job search and they're amazed at what others have done to like contribute to the community, and just the filtering in and out of all of the different people I think is really awesome. Another thing that surprised me is how many mistakes I make, which is, I had somebody proofread a newsletter that I was trying to send out, and they were like, do you want me to point out where you make grammar and like other types of mistakes? Or I've seen in your past where you just leave them. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I don't do that on purpose. So that, and the grace from people that are like, okay, Mary's made mistakes, but she's still trying, because I do make mistakes. I piss people off. And like, I'll be like, you can't promote here. You can't put that in the normal thread. Like, I leave this clean
Totally.
so that it's nice and clean for people. The links are in the other area. Even if you come here a lot, it's still the rule. And then there's just so many times where I want to do so many things and I'm like, yeah, we're going to do this. And then I don't end up being able to make it happen. So prioritizing everything, prioritizing the messaging, it's all harder than I thought it would be. But also when I can do something and it goes through and it happens well, I'm so excited.
It's really cool. As you were talking about spelling and grammar mistakes, my mind immediately went to one of the underrated things about this community is that it is a almost completely AI free zone. Of course, we talk about AI, but there's no AI generated slop. There's, it's real people saying real things. And turns out human beings, we make spelling mistakes.
We
And
do.
I think it's actually a feature of the community, not a bug. And I think people actually appreciate the humanity in a world, where everything is just so perfectly. And I think we've all gone smart enough that we can tell when AI has written something because
Yeah.
it's devoid of some humanity that we're. It's hard for me to explain sometimes, but I perceive it,
Mhm. Yep.
And your community, it's clearly people writing the stuff, and
Yeah.
that I think is a huge feature.
I've heard so much about like with Peerbound how much effort has been put into like helping create these stories that do have that humanity, even though AI is a part of it. Like it sounds like a really good formula. And I don't know if it's what is that called when there's I can't think of the word. Anyways, a good formula. So um yeah, I know that how much you appreciate that AI sound. So
Yeah, totally. All right, let me ask you about this no vendors channel. I've heard murmurs. I know everybody who's listening to this episode is only going to want to know about this because this was a clear design decision that you made early on in the community. Tell me about when you started the no vendors channel. What was your intention? And I've heard murmurs from people, but I know this channel gets a lot of engagement from real practitioners because again, there's no vendors.
yeah.
What were you thinking when you started this, and where is it now? Tell me more about that.
Yeah. So, what I was thinking was, I want people to be able to come here and say what they really think without worrying that it's going to get back to the vendors because we're such close and emotional people in this space that you build these relationship with vendors and then they think they're friends and then they find out, oh, somebody doesn't like us because they're talking about, the reality of using a product or something like that. And so I wanted to protect the community and give them that outlet while also like making it clear to vendors that, yeah, we have this area and people can do things. We did have one breach, and I even told the company, I was like, you are like, even by reading what people sent you, you are like going against other people's confidentiality
Totally,
and
totally.
looking like taking away their privacy. You shouldn't have even read it. So, other than that, we've done really well. Everybody that goes in there has to respond to me and say, yes, I will keep the conversations confidential. I'm sure they go other places and say, well, I heard somebody say this about this product, but no names. Like, you can't share things. I don't share things that I would love to share with people, like even, the sponsors and stuff. I don't tell them things like, oh, yeah, somebody was just saying about this about your product. I don't say
Totally.
anything because I feel like once I make that breach one time, who knows? And when people find out, like, I just want them to be able to go there and have that safety to say what they say. And it's fun to watch. We definitely have some tea time in there where we share things that we see in social media and we're like, ooh, what are they doing? We had one recently. That's all I can
Oh, I
really
know.
say. And
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about.
so it's just fun to be like, ooh, what'd you hear? What'd you hear? And piece things together. At the same time, it's interesting to hear people that have used something and how much they'll stand up for it or stand against it.
Totally.
Like, you know, in this space, if you fail to take care of somebody well in the customer marketing space, it is going to show up many times. You'll still get customers because CMA Weekly hasn't grown to be like everyone in the industry comes
Totally.
here. I don't do a lot for growth. It's just very organic, which is the way a community should grow. And I'm going to focus a little bit more on trying to get out there more because I want people to know this exists and is helpful because I've seen where people come in and say, I've used a tool, it didn't go well, I'm looking for a new position, things like that. It's it's a hard place to be. So I want people to have that space where they can do that. However, what I didn't know is that people think just joining the community, they automatically, when they join the Slack channel, have access to the no vendors channel. So the problem is we all say Slack channel, but it's really a Slack workspace that has
Right.
channels. And so I even just did it a moment ago. So I have to keep reminding people, and I've changed our welcome to say, hey, we have a no vendors channel. You have to ask for access to it because they have to say, yes, I will keep everything confidential. And it's gone well. And we have had a lot more people join just in the last few weeks since I figured that out.
That's awesome. That's really good. Let me ask you about, you mentioned some recent public vendor chatter,
Oh,
and
yeah.
this has definitely come up across multiple folks, in our network. Obviously, we share much of the same network. What's your take on all this? I would consider this to be fairly aggressive vendor versus vendor marketing. What's your take as sort of the Uber practitioner? You're the community leader of the most important community in customer advocacy. What's your take on this? What does it make you feel favorable toward these vendors? Unfavorable? Do you think it's right for customers? I just want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this actually, because one, I don't like to see that stronger competitive behavior in the past. A lot of the companies have been very like friendly competition, but I don't know if people are at a point where that's more important than what tool works best. So if you're coming in and you're looking for a tool and you see company A is being a little aggressive in their competition and company B isn't liking it or says or doesn't say anything, that does give you an indication of what kind of company you're working with, but it still comes down to the functionality of the tool that
Totally.
on what they want to use. Now, compared to other spaces, I would say the type of company you're working with is becoming it's a much bigger aspect of the buy now than it was 3 years ago. Because if you're working with a company that's stuck in the past that isn't innovating a lot and quickly, or like they're, I don't know, maybe incumbents in the space or something like that, you're not seeing all the value you possibly can to be able to deliver that same ROI that you might be able to and you want to for the safety of your job sometimes. I mean, often. So it's becoming very important when people ask, like, what type of company am I working with here? Am I working with a company that's like, we're innovating quickly, we're doing a lot, we're growing, we are marketing, we are out there, we are talking to customers, we are making changes and improvements. They are getting so much more exposure and like good reviews and people saying like you've got to check these guys out. Others that are like, oh, we've been around a while, like it's so much easier to start to see the cracks when maybe business doesn't seem to be going well. Now, I'm not saying that every incumbent in the space isn't going well. I don't know for sure. I just know from what it looks like from the outside, who and what looks like it's growing, where the customers are happy and want to sing about it, and where customers are like, I don't know if I recommend this at all. So it's interesting, and you're going to find all of that when you go into no vendors. And there's no history. So it's only the past 90 days because it's a free Slack. So I don't save anything from there. Nothing rolls over, nothing. It's just you come in and people will tell their stories and they'll share. And, we have people that'll come in and say, what about this vendor? And then 3 days later, what about this vendor? It's the same vendor. And we'll go through it again because everybody has a different kind of use case and things like that. So, yeah, it's a great channel. And I love it. I love when they're spilling the tea in there. I'm like, I don't like my own drama, but I can so love somebody else's.
I know you. The philosophy in for a great career is you always want to be near the action, but you don't want to be the action
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah.
And No Vendors is the perfect outlet for all of this. It's awesome.
It's fun. I'm
That's really
sorry you
cool.
can't be in there.
No, it's okay. And look, I think one of the interesting parts. I didn't even know this channel existed until somebody just mentioned, "Hey, like there's a No Vendors channel," and or maybe I saw it in CMA Weekly when you posted about it or something like that. And I can confirm as a sponsor, you and I have never talked about anything that goes on in there, nor will we. And I think that's a very important design decision that you made. That it's all about protecting the confidentiality of these things, right? And these things really do matter. And to make these tough calls and to upset the people who are your sponsors potentially, I think is a brave call, but it's also the right call.
Yeah, I hope it is. I mean, I want people to feel comfortable, and I try to look at it as, even though I'm not out there saving the world, what we are doing is helping people in their jobs. And when you help somebody in their job, they're putting food on the table. And so that makes a difference. And so I'm not running any big organizations or, nonprofits or anything, but I am trying to help the people that I was put into their lives. And I have so many awesome people in CMA Weekly that are doing it too. I'm just out of names. Sorry.
Totally. No, totally. I'll share a funny story with you, which you'll appreciate, I think. You can't name vendors, but I can, and so I will. My father-in-law, who's my in-laws are visiting us, and he I was coming home. I'm ready to put the boys to bed, and it's 8:15, and he and I had a very quick minute to have a chat. And he goes, "I randomly happened to find a website from this company called Base," and he goes, "Have you heard about this company?" And I go, "Yes, I have." And I'm like, how did you find this website, first of all? But he knows about Purebound, and he knows I'm
Yeah.
working hard on this business and so on. And he goes, "Yeah, there's a website called Base versus Purebound." And he goes, he knows nothing about the space, by the way. He's not in software. He doesn't understand. He obviously understands this world, but he's not from this world per se. And he was just like, "Yeah, I read the whole web page, and it turns out they're just much better than you." And he was laughing. He was laughing as he was saying it. And he goes, "But I guess it's not surprising because it was their website." And I go, "Yep, that's exactly how it works." And he goes, "You must, I hope you feel some pride because you built a company that's important enough to be trashed by a competitor." And I go, "Hey, like that's what it's about. And we love the competition and we welcome it. And it's good for the customer." But I thought that was a very funny anecdote that this person who doesn't even know what we were building somehow found this company and somehow found this website and was chatting with me about it. I thought it was really, really interesting and
That
fun.
is
But
fun. But I like his outcome of like you've built a company that is now worthy of
exactly,
being like having somebody try to compete with you. Like
exactly,
that's a big thing. And you know, it's I'm not like usually the type of person that wants to go do something where there's a competitor because I'm like, oh, they're already doing it. Why would I do it? But
right,
when CMA Weekly was starting, there was a competitor. There is a competitor. And it's very interesting because I wouldn't normally try to do anything where there's competition. I'm like, nope, I'll just leave that alone.
totally.
But
You know, yeah, very interesting that you said that because I'm in many ways similar. Where if something is already done well, then not interested in being number two or number three. So we didn't start this company to really compete against any of the other vendors that were already in the channel. We felt that we had a fresh perspective on
yeah,
what the future of this function was going to look like. But now obviously there's those perspectives are being seen across the industry, and we're making a small mark, and we hope to keep going and serve our customers well. But yeah, really fun. Really fun.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to ask you now about just customer marketing at a more macro level. You've both been a practitioner at some of the best companies in the industry, and you are in the middle of all the tea as the
Yeah.
leader of the CMA Weekly community. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the past couple of years, 2 years? Like, what's the zeitgeist, so to speak?
Yeah, there's a much bigger focus on customer marketing itself as like the campaigns, the life cycle, the journey, and not like on expansion and stuff like that. That's grown a lot. And it's not something that we cover a ton in CMA Weekly. We have a life cycle channel where the people who are in there are very reactive, like they're very engaged. They'll answer all the questions that come in there. But it is more of your average marketing, digital marketing inside of just focusing on customers. So there's that. There's a bigger, like a much bigger pool of vendors to choose from and what they're focused on. If it's stories, if it's customer evidence, if it's, one of the vendors just bought a company so that they can do references as well. Like this area, this space is growing a lot. And I see in the job searches, the job descriptions, and things like that, there's a big question about who owns what in post sales. Customer marketing and advocacy is it can do a lot with the customers it gets. It can create a lot of content, education, all of these things, and getting that into the company can be very valuable. And so sometimes that's looked at, well, compared to customer success, if they had the same amount of people, we'd have to do this. So there's this just a growth in what we're doing in the post sales area, an overlapping of that with all the other areas, customer education, customer success. And I don't think anyone's really sure what that all looks like and where all of these jobs kind of divide and like who's doing what. It seems different for every company. The responsibilities seem different for every company as far as what they think they need and what they actually need. It's an exciting time because it seems to be growing. And I see it growing more from enterprises doing this to even smaller, much smaller companies, not necessarily hiring somebody for customer marketing, but having somebody in the post sales area that also covers advocacy or customer campaigns. So I'd say the area is growing, even though there's so much in tech that does seem to be shrinking a bit, and the responsibilities in the job descriptions are growing too. So it's a changing time. And I think that's why the innovation with the vendors that are innovating quickly and making a lot of changes is so important because we're changing from job to job. We're changing from this responsibility this year to including the customer and campaigns next year. We need to get speakers for our partners because partner marketing is a thing now. And not that it hasn't been, but just like that, if you're successful in customer marketing and advocacy, they're like, well, then do a lot more. And if you're less successful than they think you should be, then they're like, we're just going to take all your funding. But it doesn't help because there still has to be somebody to cover all of these areas. And then it falls into other, customer success, even onboarding, like just all over. So it's a very changing time in our space.
Totally. Yeah, I love what you said about just the roles and responsibilities changing, and companies want to make this investment, it seems like, and they want to do it earlier than they historically have, but there's a lot of confusion about what are we really going to get from this function. And and I think, by the way, this is true for, I want to say, every white collar job in many ways. Of CEOs are just expecting more from everybody because AI is here.
Mm-hmm.
Without there's a lot of fill in the gaps between
Yeah.
AI is here, so you need to do more. versus the reality on the ground. And I think CMA is definitely one of the functions that's felt the impact of that.
Yeah, and I think if you don't have a community for your profession, and obviously I'm biased, but you're shortchanging yourself. It's like doing your work without AI right now. Like you can't, if you can go ask somebody that's been there before and get an answer in a couple of days to help you improve your strategy, that's going to save you months of time. And I feel like you need it. Like people are so much more successful when they keep coming back to the community. And we've had so many people that are like, I'm brand new in this. I just got thrown in here and I don't know what to do. And, people like Daniel Pele from Grafana Labs, he is amazing. He jumps right in and helps out and answers questions whenever he's not traveling.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
it's so good. So it's like, even if you're just reading your community, get in there and read and get some tips and help and listen.
Totally. I want to ask you about jobs.
Sure.
You've had a front row seat to watching the job market in customer advocacy over the last 2+ years. What are you seeing in 2025 versus in 2024, where it seemed like there was more doom and gloom? Is that kind of continuing? Are there more jobs opening up this year? What's your overall sense for the market and where it's headed?
Yeah. I think it's hard to see if you're not constantly watching because we're still having ups and downs. Like people said after all of the kind of purging of jobs within like a couple of years ago that layoffs are here to stay. They are. They just are. It seems to no longer be that we can hope to get to profitability at some point. Like you have to get there as quickly as possible and you have to stay there, which is normal for most businesses, but wasn't for tech. But because of that, we've seen some lower salaries for a while. Now we're seeing like it is more of a kind of like a lower salary for the average position, but more positions. But it is still
Yep.
up and down. It's still like a lot of openings, then not so much. A lot of openings and not so much. And because there's so many people, like if you think like Dell or somebody, when they did layoffs, they laid off like 1,500 people from customer marketing. You're going against all of those people. I don't know the exact numbers, but Microsoft laid off hundreds of thousands. Salesforce laid off tons of people. You're going against whoever didn't leave tech because there's a huge, like, I call it a tech exodus because so many people have been like, oh, you know what? If I have to fight this hard for a job, I'm just going to do this instead and be
Right.
happy and that sort of thing. So if you're still around and you're fighting, you have to be on it for every interview. You have to be perfect in those interviews. And for a while, I wasn't. I was very responsive. I was very like, just going along with what they said and asked like a couple smart questions and that sort of thing. And it wasn't until I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go in there with a pitch and I'm going to say
Right.
these things and it's going to be like just about that job. And I'm going to lead the conversation and show that I know because I'm the expert that I got 2 job offerings or job offers. And it is, but at the same time, all that time that I didn't know or that I didn't think to do that, I see a lot of people stuck there and you get so lost in, well, if I say this on an interview and they don't like it, then I'm going to be wrong. So I can't just do this. I've got to do this. And AI tells me this best advice. And, it's not until you like, I put like the job description, I put every question that I thought they'd ask, all of my like resume information. I was like, ask me questions about this so I can create the best kind of opening pitch to tell about who I am and tell me what questions I should ask as well. So it was a bit different than just, I'm interviewing for this job. This is the title of the job. What questions should I ask? The more information you could give it, the more it could give back. So back to your question, the job has, there's a lot of responsibilities. It's changing a lot and it's hard, but I think we are slowly increasing and moving into more companies looking at this and being like, okay, we need somebody to handle this, but there are more responsibilities and you have to really prove your value. And that's where you need, I think, CMA Weekly.
Yeah, I agree completely. And you said something very interesting, which I'm also observing in day to day work, which is that, well, two things. One, people need to be on the front foot. You can't just be on the back foot and just kind of passively answer questions and maybe, like you said, say a couple of smart things or ask a couple of smart questions at the end. That's no longer enough to get it done. I think people, hiring
Yeah.
managers, want a perspective. And that's how they determine whether your experience counts for anything, is do you have a perspective on what actually matters for success in this role? And then do we believe that you're the person that can deliver that success for this role? And I think a lot of people are going in, and 5 years ago, you couldn't, it was hard to miss it. Like there were so many jobs open in tech
Yeah.
that you had job offers. The minute you start a new job, you had job offers from other companies.
Yeah.
And I think the situation is now completely, it's a 180-degree shift. And people need to get on the front foot and believe in themselves and their experience. And AI is a double-edged sword on this front.
Mm-hmm.
And you alluded to this as well, because it will sometimes make you question your experience. And it'll say, oh, yeah, this is possible. And, there are some things that ChatGPT has told me where I'm like, dude, no way. That's just not right. There's no way that's actually happening. But you have to know that, right? And I think a lot of people take it at face value.
Yeah. And it's good to, we actually have a private job seekers channel in the community too.
Amazing.
I tell the people that I think are like really on it and want feedback and want to have that community conversation. So it's not just 100 different people in there searching. It's usually 15 to 20 people that really want to try to find a job and work together to do that, because there's a lot of benefit in doing that. Even if you're going for the same job, which I've heard from a lot of people, they'll be like, did you hear it from the recruiter? Did you hear from them? How was your call with the hiring manager? What do you think about this? It's very helpful, but people get, when you're in that job search and it's like, I can't find anything, and if I don't know how to keep my house. Everything feels so kind of terrifying and
Totally.
scary. And unless you really know what you're doing in your job search, it's hard to nail it down. And, I've had people that'll be like, oh, just through networking, I can find a job. And I'm like, I cannot. Like,
Yep.
I
Yep.
network to share the community and talk about the community and people in there and like make connections. When it comes to finding a job, I can't do it through networking. I don't know what I'm missing, but I'm not good at it. And yeah, I see other people that get like 3 jobs in 1 year because of layoffs or whatever else. And I'm like, I don't know what they're doing.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, incredible advice. And I am both rooting for everybody in the community and certainly for you, given how much you're helping to grow the space, right? Growing that community from where it was to 1,500 customer marketers is incredible.
Yeah, I think it's the activity there that's actually the impressive part, because we do have a competitor that has, it looks like 3,500 people in there, but the rate of engagement is very low and they lose people. It seems they lose people very quickly upon like coming in, seeing there's not a lot of engagement and then moving on. And it's actually difficult for me because CMA Weekly has a very similar name to another one, and people will be like, oh yeah, I'm in your community, and I'm like, you're really not. So I've thought about, well, what do I like rebrand and change my name? But
Totally.
then as I talk to sponsors, they're like, no, we have to be like aligned and have to be friends and sponsors of CMA Weekly. So it's like, I don't know what to do.
Well, all I'll say is that anybody listening, if you're not in the dark purple community, but you're in the pink community, join the dark purple community, because that's where people are actually talking to each other and sharing value with each other and adding value to everybody's journey.
See,
That's
I
all I'll
didn't
say.
even say
Is
that.
that is that what was that
Yeah,
elegant enough, Mary?
it is. Yes, it is. Thank you.
That's good. Well, listen, I just last question for you is, where do you see CMA Weekly going? What are the things that are coming up for anybody who's in the community or wants to join? What are you most excited about looking ahead to next year?
My excitement for this next year is I'm going to take some of like the sponsor money and I'm going to use it in the community. So I'm asking like, what do other people want to see? So this is different, but the survey is starting soon for how do you rate your customer advocacy and marketing vendors. I'm going to push that out as much as I can. I'd like to get 300 responses this time. But then I'm planning on offering $100 to whoever wants to come and share their program with the community, just to kind of give a little back, but then get more of those stories and people sharing,
Totally.
and then see how that grows. And one of the sponsors is going to sponsor that. So,
Amazing. That's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah, it's
Very
exciting.
cool.
And $100 isn't a lot, but it's something that I can be like, here, thank you for coming and sharing. And yeah, I'll be looking for other ways to kind of reinvest and help the community grow. So I'm looking for ideas.
Awesome. Well, Mary, this is an incredible conversation, and it's so good to see you. And I cannot wait to get this episode out there. And also personally thank you for starting the CMA Weekly community and
Sure.
growing it to where it is. I think this is we can call it CMA Weekly, but I think so many of us know it as Mary Green's community, and
Oh,
this is true. This is truly a unique to you community and product, and super excited for next year and all the things that you're about to do to grow this community even further. And thank you for joining me.
thank you for having me. And, we're watching. So see what your town
That's right.
does. We
That's
are
right. I
watching
love it.
and we are talking. So
That's right. I think I should just ship tea as a holiday gift to all the people that have helped us get to where we are and say, get ready for next year.
yeah,
But thank you
that's
so
good.
much, Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you, and great to have you.